When someone passes, where do they go? Gone forever, or can they show? What if you could find someone between to bridge the gap of those unseen?
How are you connected?
My daughter.
Is your mother passed away? Okay, she's here. All right. I'm sorry. Aww. And you had a son? Is that the one that's the cross? Because I hear, tell Mom and Dad I got a haircut. Mom, dry your tears. It's Rye. Ryan Rye. I don't know if he wants
Ryan.
to... Okay. He wants to lean down and give you all a kiss.
That's Ryan.
And he says, thanks for the balloons. I have no idea what that means.
God.
If I can help one person out there know that they're loved, to feel comfort, that there's hope, that we will reunite with those that we have loved but never lost, my work's complete then.
Hi, Michelle.
Hello, Tony.
How are you?
I am fantastic, and I want to say to you, happy birthday, my dear.
Thank you so much. 21 years old.
Well, you don't look more than 35 to me, but
I'll take it.
You'll take it, and tomorrow's the big day, right, Tony?
I'll be 48 years old.
You're kidding. You look great.
Thank
honey.
you, hon. I appreciate that. I really do.
And I was invited to join you in L.A. for a karaoke party.
That's right. That's right. I'm sure we'll be taking some pictures and videos, and I would have loved to seen you singing.
I can throw down my walker and hop on a plane from PA to L.A.
That's right. So
out there. I would have done it, honestly, to surprise you.
oh, my God, that would have been great. I would love it. And are you doing okay? You doing okay after your surgery?
Yes, thanks for asking. I had so many beautiful emails and messages, over a couple thousand. One's private on my fan page and on my regular page, and flowers were sent and cards, and I'm just totally overwhelmed. I had both feet, the bones were broken in both feet. And,
oh, wow.
So it's been really difficult for me. It's a 6-week recovery time. I'm on a walker. So I hobbled in here. I couldn't let this go by. And then the holidays are around the corner. But thanks for asking, Tony, because I know prayers were sent up because I felt them.
Yeah. No, we sent them out.
Thank you.
You're welcome,
darling.
honey.
So anyhow, last week I took a few phone calls at the end of the show, probably, I don't know, 2 or 3. And I like to read confirmations sometimes that come in. This really touched my heart. This was the last call of the evening. We don't know where she called from. I think it was a New Jersey area code, but I'm not sure. But her name was Crystal. And she just basically said she was lucky to be the last call of the evening. And she, her 29-year-old fiance was killed. And he was protecting her and the 2 girls that they had together. They had a 6-year-old at the time, and she was 3 months pregnant at the time, I think. Or she had just found out she was pregnant. And there was somebody that was harassing her. It was a younger man, about 21 years old, and he was bullying her and physically harassing her. And her fiance stepped in front of them, and he tried to pull her away and get her to the car. But the younger male punched him out, and her fiance's, it's just unbelievable. Her fiance's head hit the curve, and he was in a coma for a day, brain dead, and he passed 2 days later.
Wow.
And this happened to be on the 6-year-old's birthday that he passed away, and it was also Father's Day.
No.
So that really touched my heart. God bless her. But I don't know if how many of you watched last week, but it was very, very moving because the baby, who's now a few months old, maybe 7 months old, sees her daddy. And children can see spirits, as we know. And she sits at the bed every night and she prays for him to come through in a dream. And he mentioned that in a funny way that she blows her nose in his socks. I mean, we were all just cracking up. And she says, and also in his other clothes. But she knows that she's going to have a dream of Jeff. His name's Jeff. So I want to tell you, Crystal, if you're watching tonight, sweetheart, from wherever you're watching, I have a message from Jeff for you. And that is, the holidays are around the corner, and he will come to you in a very heartwarming dream. He wants to wrap his arms around you and your girls, little girls, and you will feel him. And I want you to keep a pad and pen by the bed, because I'm telling you, that's your wish for the holidays. And he loves you with all his heart forever and ever. And he'll come to you in a dream.
Oh.
So I just wanted to say that, Crystal. And if anybody else has any confirmations, or please let me know. I have guests on, authors that write books. And lately we've had some wonderful people on that for Zoom that wanted readings from different parts of the world, and it's just been very wonderful for me. But tonight, I'm excited to have a very special guest on.
Who might that be?
Well, this special guest, his name is Jon Stroh, and he's a certified hypnotherapist. And he was in the corporate world as an international purchaser for over 35 years. And retired, and basically had never walked into the metaphysical arena. So when I met him, he really thought that Star Trek was metaphysical. We were on our second date, and I said, "Do you believe in things that are spiritual, metaphysical?" He said, "Yeah, Star Trek." So anyhow, we've come a long way, and that was 25 years ago. But we went together to a spiritual retreat. And he signed up for a Kahuna healing counseling session. And the Kahuna healer was from Polynesia, and they're very evolved spiritual people. And he and Jon just immediately clicked. And he took Jon under his wing, and he mentored my husband. And so Jon learned the art of mind, body, spirit alignment, which has to do with past trauma. Whether it's from this lifetime, whether it's from past lives, we've all had emotional setbacks and trauma.
Right.
So my husband, he does that. And he also does not only that, but he's, like I said, a certified hypnotherapist where he does past life regression. You've probably heard of Brian Weiss's book, Many Lives, Many Masters.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yes. And so that brought everything a few years ago into the forefront of, we just don't have one chance to perfect our journey. Everything we hone, whether it's good traits, singing, dancing, music, or even if it would be phobias or fears, sometimes they're triggered from past life. And so that's what Jon does. We have an office here in Pennsylvania, in central PA, where he does past life regression. And he also does phone consultations throughout the country for emotional issues. So I do have to say the mind, body, soul counseling is so interesting because we have a lot of health challenges. Now, we were just talking about allergies, Tony, remember before we came on?
Mm-hmm.
So allergies can be triggered, emotional stress, fears, phobias, all these things can be triggered from this lifetime or past lives. And they're also in the soul DNA of our mind. So he helps people over the phone and in person with that kind of counseling. And then, of course, with the past life regression, where he literally hypnotizes you and he'll take you back to another time and to another place. And so I'm going to bring on my very special and wonderful guest tonight, Jon Stroh. Hello.
Hello, hello. Hi, everybody.
So happy holidays, dear.
Yes.
And yeah, I'm in the room with the trees and the wreaths. Don't have the fireplace going. But yeah, people want to know a little bit about how you approach this process. You've been doing it for 25 years. You're very adept and very good at it. So let's just say somebody comes to you with some emotional trauma. What are the steps that you go through, and how do you know if it is triggered from formative years, this lifetime, or if it may go back to past lives? Do you do a questionnaire with them, or how do you get inside their heads?
Well, I typically start off by telling people that my sessions have a way of taking on a life of their own. Oftentimes, people will come for one thing, and we'll end up going a totally different direction. What happens is, probably the first half hour to 45 minutes of a session, I spend just going over what they're dealing with and why they have come in and so on. I've had several occasions where somebody has come in just for simple past life regression. They want to find out more about their past lives. But as we're talking, I start finding out that they have a lot of issues that they're dealing with, from could be from this lifetime, could be from another lifetime, but you need to get to the bottom of where they are coming from and so on. And I like to tell people there's nothing that I can do or say that can make you happy, sad, angry, or mad. Interpret what is said or done to you. We own our emotions. So oftentimes somebody will come in and their attitude is, whenever that SOB comes and apologizes for what he did or she did, then I'll be better. In all likelihood, that SOB has no idea what they did or said to this person to make them feel the way they did. And oftentimes, what the person is reacting to is something that they have heard second or third hand, that somebody said that this person did this or said this, and how does that individual know what's going on? So I like to look at emotions very much like the weather. You can't bottle a sunny day to have in the middle of the winter or on a rainy day any more than you can bottle a thunderstorm. We experience the weather and it moves on. Emotions should be the same way. You should imbibe your emotions, feel your emotions, and release them. When you harbor anger, it's like dragging an anchor behind you. So what you do is when you can forgive that person and release that emotion, you have cut the cord and released the anchor, which makes you lighter and able to move forward.
Now, what would be one way, Jon, that you would counsel somebody to be able to cut a cord or drop and release an anchor or something that's holding them back? Is there something that they can do consciously? Or unconsciously?
There's something they can do consciously, but in the words of my kahuna teacher, we all heal ourselves, but some of the best healers in the world need a facilitator in order to heal. Mm-hmm. We need the permission to heal. So going to a counselor of some type is much better than reading self-help books or listening to tapes or what have you, because the facilitator can help you deal with the situation that you're dealing with. Mm-hmm. So what you're often dealing with is, and it's very much in Michele's book, Messages from Beyond, going back through your lifetime and doing prayers of forgiveness and releasing individuals that you feel have wronged you in some way. It could be your first grade teacher, could be the kid around the corner, or any number of people that's back there in your background. And sometimes this can even go into past lives. So with the kahuna, they feel that all illness comes from relationship issues. Mm-hmm. So very simplistically, they look at it and say, if you have an affliction, be it physical or mental or emotional, you must first identify the relationship issue that relates to this issue. Mm-hmm. Then you heal that through unconditional love and forgiveness. And once you have done that, you can release the affliction. Because what's happening is when you forgive and release that other individual, that is cutting that cord to that anchor of your emotions.
And I'm glad you mentioned the cord cutting exercise because, in my book that you helped me write, because we're a team, Messages from Beyond, there is a very powerful exercise of forgiveness that you can do. Before you go to sleep at night, you visualize the person that you're having a very difficult time with, whether you're angry at them, whether they have abused you, whatever. And it can be from any part of your life. But you visualize their face in your mind's eye. and you visualize a cord going from their heart chakra to your heart chakra. And it's a thick burgundy cord. And you say to them, mind to mind or soul to soul, I don't like what you did to me, but I do forgive you and I do release you. And what you do is you visualize a pair of golden scissors or shears, and you cut the cord. And when you cut the cord, you're letting them go, you're forgiving them, and you're releasing them. It's very difficult to do because sometimes this involves family members, like a father that might have abused someone, or a mother, a cousin. And so the exercise of forgiveness is very powerful. And that's one of the things where I call it the cord cutting ceremony, Jon. So I'm glad you mentioned that one. And I'm sure there's other ways to let go.
Well, and one of the things that you have to understand is, from a spiritual perspective, we are all here in the physical realm to learn and grow. And we have chosen all of these different conflicts that we encounter. They're lessons that we learn. You can look at it almost like going to school. When you're in high school, or if you go on to college and so on, each year or each semester, you choose and pick the subjects that you are taking in order to obtain your ultimate goal, your ultimate degree. We all encounter certain subjects that we really don't like, but we have to take them to get to where we need to be. Likewise, when we come into a lifetime, we have chosen things that may not be easy for us to do, but that's how we are going to learn and grow. And all of the people around us are part of our soul group, and we have agreed to play certain parts in order to have that happen. So when you're looking at forgiveness, what you have to remember is that we are from a soul group. We all love each other. So in the prayer of forgiveness, you can look at it from that perspective that you can love the person at a soul level unconditionally, even though you despise their actions. And that's how you can get to the point of forgiving them forgiveness, because they're only playing a part.
That's right. And you also have a very good analogy about receiving flowers. Now, I just received a beautiful arrangement from your sister Dana today for the holidays, and I was surprised, and it was so lovely. But I love the way you coin your analogy about receiving flowers. And it is true. If you really think about this, it's amazing.
Okay.
Do you want to share that?
Certainly. Everybody watching or listening, I want you to think about somebody that you really despise, distrust, hate, what have you. Maybe it's most likely a past relationship of some type. Could be a parent, could be a romantic relationship. But now it's a Sunday afternoon, you're relaxing at home, and the doorbell rings. And it's the delivery person from the florist with this beautiful, beautiful bouquet. And you take the bouquet in, you have to think about, how do you feel? You're probably happy, wondering, gee, who sent this? Once you get the card and you open it and you see it's from this person that you really don't like, right now, how do you feel? Tony, let me ask you, have you been following along with that?
I have. Go ahead, ask away.
So how do you feel when it comes from this person that you despise?
Well, I mean, for me, as you know, I always say there's two sides of me. There's always two sides of me. There's my creative side, and then there's my logical side. And I sometimes have conversations. I'm usually very creative, but I sometimes I thought I was just being crazy, but actually it is kind of like my devil, my angel talking. Where the one side that I do get angry and I do want to act out, but my angel side, my spiritual side, says it's okay to verbally say it to yourself, or even, somehow, release that tension, that pressure. Like I said, sometimes I just look in the mirror, and it may sound crazy, but I look in the mirror and I talk. I have a conversation to just get it out. Once I get it out, I'm fine. So, yeah,
So what is exactly the feeling or the emotion that you felt when you realized it was from this individual? Just real quick. Is it anger? Is it?
Oh, yeah, of anger.
Shock.
Shock. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
All the above.
Okay. Now we're gonna play this again. Here we go again. We're sitting at home on a Sunday afternoon. The doorbell rings. Here comes the bouquet of flowers. It's an identical bouquet. But this time, it's from somebody that is very near and dear to your heart.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how do you feel?
Oh, that's yeah. It's anger, but it's hard. It's almost a guilt in a way of being angry. Yeah.
Okay, but the point in all this is your emotion is yours.
Oh, of course.
It doesn't come from the flowers or the person sending the flowers. And that's the important thing to understand is our emotions are based on our preconceived notions about things.
Right.
And there's nothing, in the first example, the person may in fact have gone through a catharsis and really want to make amends.
Right.
You may look at it and say, what is this person up to? Why did they send these flowers?
Exactly.
But you don't know what the meaning or what their intention was. Likewise, with the person that's close to you, you immediately assume that they're being kind and so on. Hey, you don't know for sure. Maybe they've done something that they feel guilty about and are sending you something. Again, we own our emotions, and it's not the person that initiated the gift.
Well, we have a couple of people in the chat room, and I'll combine a couple of these because Susan says, you can forgive, but what if someone keeps doing the same things that anger you? And then Lisa says, forgiveness gives your soul peace. Release the balloon. But the problem is sometimes you can go, I forgive them, verbally say it, but emotionally it's hard to forgive them. So what do you think about those two combinations?
Okay, basically in the first example where the person keeps on doing the same thing, one of the gifts, one of the greatest gifts that we have been given by our Creator is free choice. Maybe it's time to walk away from that individual. Maybe it's time to move on. If that is still annoying you, maybe you need to do some deeper soul searching and work on the forgiveness. Michele and I both have had past lives in this lifetime, in that we have both been married before. And what happens when you're with somebody to the point of the destruction of a relationship, they know how to push your buttons. And you've got to get to the point where when they push the button, it's like there's nobody holding the door back. They fall on their face. When you can basically get to the point of not reacting to that, then you've truly cut the cords and moved on.
Now, sometimes it's easier said than done. If the person that's asking that question, if this is a brother, a sister, a mother, a father, and you're around them for the holidays, how do you look the other way? It depends who it is and how they play a role in your life as well. And sometimes relationships, of course, are more difficult emotionally than other relationships. But it would be interesting to know the person asking that, who they're referring to. If they're referring to a family member or a friend. A so-called fair weather friend is a friend that's only there when they want something or they need something, as we know. But a true friend is there through thick and thin. And it's difficult sometimes even to walk away from fair weather friends or acquaintances. Some people are much more sensitive than other people. Right, Jon? And then they need a push in the right direction.
That's it. That's exactly right. So, that is an interesting take that it all depends on, exactly where the person is. What was that second question, Tony?
Excuse me. It says, forgiveness gives your soul peace. Release the balloon.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the whole point in this. As Michele likes to say, when we reach the point where we can unconditionally love every person we meet or know about, we no longer need to come to this earth plane because we have risen up to the ascended master state. Most of us aren't nearly there.
Right.
No, and no one forces us to come down. But Jon, there's another thing too. You have a guideline with the emotional trauma when you're counseling people, and how do you know, though, again, if it's a present life trigger, like formative years or even in the womb? We can hear when we're in the womb. If we hear something unkind, it can follow us, through the lifetime. But also, how do you know if it's not a past life trigger that happened in this lifetime? Is that where the counseling comes in? Where you have guidelines for that?
Certainly. That's where the counseling comes in, and it may involve hypnotic regression, either back through this lifetime or to a previous lifetime. But then there's another whole aspect of the counseling that I do, which is more connected to the mind-body spirit alignment. And I had the opportunity a number of years ago to do a refresher course in hypnosis, where I studied with a psychiatric nurse that was also a Reiki master and a hypnotherapy instructor, certified hypnotherapist and hypnotherapy instructor. And Michele and I used to send her clients that we felt had an attached spirit. And the way she identified at that time an attached spirit was when somebody that you knew well, maybe a close friend or a relative, had an abrupt change in personality. That was a sign that they potentially had an attached spirit. And what she, in Hollywood speak, this would be exorcism. But what she was using was a hypnotic technique, which is what I studied in the class, of first identifying and then releasing any attached energies or spirits. And there are many, many ways that this can happen. The best example that I like to use is most of us at one time or another have been in a situation where either ourselves or somebody that we knew or was a friend perhaps, under the influence of alcohol, had an abrupt personality change. Oftentimes the individual doesn't even remember what their actions were when they wake up the next morning. And what is happening here is that there are discarnate spirits that were alcoholics when they were on this earth that hover around a party or a bar situation waiting for an individual to become inebriated to the point that they can enter that physical body and basically take over and again feel what they were addicted to when they were on the earth plane alive.
And now some of these entities can be earthbound, discarnate spirits that we've talked about in past shows. I work with the Loved Light, as we know, but there are entities that don't know they're passed away. They like the feeling of the alcohol or the drugs. They do not want to move on. They do not see the light. But there's also something else. There are dark energies that are formed many times, Jon, you were saying, through thought forms, through somebody's negative way of thinking.
Right. Or if we go through a period of deep depression. Tony, you were mentioning earlier about panic attacks.
Right.
We go through things, and thoughts are things. So when we go through a deep emotional crisis, we have created this dark energy, and that can grow and manifest like a snowball. And we need to release that. It can cling to us and can bring us down. But I want to just take a little sidestep here and say, not all of this is negative. If you think about going through let's say a loss of a loved one, and you are in that point of depression, what do most people do? They lean on a friend or family member, particularly somebody that has had a similar experience. And through that support, they move on and heal from their loss. If, in fact, as we believe that life goes on, wouldn't it be just as logical for a spirit that is no longer in a physical body to want to help us heal as well? So perhaps they come in and help us. Maybe you have recovered from an emotional event that, you haven't really dealt with people here, but you've kind of done a self-help thing, but felt that there's somebody there or some spirit that's helping you. Very likely it is a past friend or loved one. But now then, this is where, again, we can run into problems, because oftentimes, just like family, they overstay their welcome. And what can happen is this can manifest in a change of eating habits, perhaps a phantom pain, which relates to something that they had as an affliction, or any number of things. We could start gaining weight for no apparent reason. We could suddenly like, eating McDonald's French fries. And we don't understand it. And this, again, could be an attached spirit. So anyway, I use a hypnotic technique. The thing that, I'll go through this briefly. What we have is I look at the conscious and the subconscious. And the subconscious is like a little child. We consciously can be very deviant, but the subconscious never tells a lie. So you can have the subconscious scan your physical body and your spiritual body for anything that doesn't belong there, because they have a blueprint of how you're supposed to be. And once they identify these entities or energies, we can direct them to release and move on. And there's a lot of, that's the kind of techniques that I use, and that helps deal with these issues.
So when you double check, Jon, for hidden entities, that would be through hypnotherapy.
That would be through hypnotherapy, yes. Mm-hmm.
And would the entity actually come out and introduce himself or herself? Has that ever happened? Or
typically what happens is that the subconscious can identify the entity, and oftentimes when the entity has attached to the individual, who or what the entity is, and then work on releasing. If it's a situation where it is an entity that really doesn't mean you any harm, they're usually very eager to move on. They're just, it's like, oh my, I didn't know I was doing that type of thing. Sometimes some of the other ones are a little more difficult, but we have techniques for taking care of that.
Oust them out of here, right?
So, but at any rate, and the thing is, and Tony and I were talking about this a little earlier as well, now with Zoom, a lot of the work that I have been doing one-on-one, I can easily do throughout the country via Zoom, because it would be very easy to work directly with somebody in this manner, just like we're being seen and seeing each other.
Yes. And Jon is very thorough. He will do a follow-up with you, and we always make a CD recording, no matter whether it's my work or his work, and send it to the person. So if you have issues that are ongoing, and they can be simple things like fears or phobias. When I say simple, not life-threatening, but things that are bothering you and they need to be eradicated. So Jon will help you do that. And I do a form of life coaching. I'm mainly a medium, as we know, and I do the Akashic record readings. But Jon's the one to go to if you really want removal of entities, which is just a fascinating subject.
Yeah, and most likely you have no idea, the people watching probably have no idea that they have any kind of attached spirit because it's never been brought up before. It's not in our mainstream culture.
Yeah.
So, any other questions on the
chat room?
there, Tony?
Let me let me look here. Let's see. More. Let me keep looking. If you guys want to chit chat a little.
Yep, go ahead.
I'm looking for
Absolutely.
a lot of people looking for readings. Let me look at the other chat room real quick.
And we can be taking calls too. John can take calls.
Oh, great. We have a lot.
If you have an issue that you've been dealing with and you want to know exactly how to eradicate it, call in, talk to John, talk to me, whatever.
We have a lot of calls, so.
Well, maybe we should shift to that and see who the callers are looking for and what they're
All
looking
right.
for.
Thank you, John, for explaining that. It's very, very interesting. And I know you've been doing it for a couple decades, and a lot of people have been helped. So you're my special guest. Thank you, darling. Mwah. Love you.
All right, you ready for a call?
Yes.
All right, let's see. I think it's Madeline, so let's see what Madeline has to say. Madeline, are you there?
I am, thanks.
Well, you're
Hello.
on with Michelle and John. Go ahead.
Hi, Madeline.
Hi.
Hi.
Where are you calling from, Maddie or Madeline?
I'm calling from Ontario, Canada.
Ontario. Wonderful. Do you have a question for John or myself, Madeline?
Well, I'm just relaxing this evening, and I saw your show there, so I was listening in. So I'm open for anything, a reading or some anything, what subject you're talking about, anything at all.
Have you been listening to about entity removals and eradicating fear and forgiving? Have you been listening to the whole show,
Yes, I have.
Madeline?
I have actually, yes, and definitely some issues I've been dealing with lately with this Me Too issue thing going on.
Would
So
you
that
like to tell us
certainly
one of the
brought up-
issues so we could help you, sweetheart?
Sorry, what was that?
I said, would you like to share with us one of the issues that we could help you with, Madeline?
Well, I guess the main one myself and my family are struggling with is, as of yesterday, we just had the 5th loss in our family this year. So just,
Wow.
I guess, advice on just navigating, trying to get back up out of the sadness of losing people.
Oh, my gosh,
Trying
girl,
to find
yes.
that joy again.
Some people never heal from grief, Madeline. My heart goes out to you. That's a lot of loss. There's a gentleman here. If I may go on with you,
Please do.
there's a dad or granddad figure here. Is your daddy passed? Is your father passed, Madeline?
He has, yes.
All right. He's coming through to wish you happy holidays. He's also acknowledging a younger male. So I have to ask, who has the son or the grandson, Madeline?
Ooh, my sister has daughters, not a son.
All right. Who would be? Are one of the girls married? Are one of the girls married to a young man? I'm getting him saying son or grandson.
Interesting, yeah, because there's no boy in the family. Not
Would they
any
be?
grandchildren.
Would they be married? Would one of them be
Not
married?
yet.
Which would be a son-in-law of yours or a nephew-in-law?
Now, I have a lot of nephews.
Okay.
It's kind of complicated because I'm also adopted, so I have nephews in my birth family.
Well, that makes it tough. Where's a John or a James? Where would a J name be, honey?
Yeah, John would be my great-grandfather. James would be my birth father.
All right. I have your biological birth father here, Madeline, and his name's James. All right. So we got that one down pat. And John would be back a generation. Would he be back as a what?
On my adopted mom's side.
Okay. So I had two gentlemen through, John and James. And I have to put my foot down. They're acknowledging a younger male, and I'm going to go then to a nephew, which would be one of your sibling sons. And they're watching out for him, Madeline. And they're watching. There's depression in family, darling. Do you know that there's clinical or genetic depression?
Yes, there is actually bipolar disorder.
Yeah, I know that. Now, I don't know if one of the nephews has it, but I want to say they're protecting one of the nephews from going and doing anything too impulsive or too crazy, Madeline.
Yes. They're watching, yes.
I do also have to say you've done. Do you like to decorate? They're laughing about your Christmas decorating. I'm just telling you what they're saying.
My tree is in the middle of the living room, totally naked, because the news I got yesterday kind of put it off. I was going to do this, but I'm just absorbing the new news.
Yeah, they call it
I was supposed to do my tree today, little buggers. Yeah.
Yeah, they call it the naked Christmas tree.
Yes.
Maybe you could write a little story about it. But no, they think that's funny, sweetie. And those, I have to tell you, Madeline, that have crossed to heaven, the timeline was up. Even though there's depression and bipolar in your family, the timeline was up for them to make transition. There's nothing that you could have done. I need to tell you that. Okay?
Yeah, and I think, they've chosen to go out together.
Yes.
I think so, yeah.
Now, why would I be smelling mothballs and camphor? Do you have a cedar closet? Do you have a cedar chest, Madeline?
I have a chest in front of me with some quilting goods in there.
Yeah, you need to put mothballs in there. A grandmother's telling me.
Okay, yeah, because I have a special quilt top that's not finished yet in there.
Yeah, and I smell like a cedar or a mothball smell. I'm just telling you. So I do have a grandmother for you, Madeline, that loves you very, very much. And so just say some prayers for those that have passed, and also say prayers for your nephews, because one of them is going to go through a little bit of a difficult time. I do have to say that.
But what?
James and John will be there for them, and your grandmother with the quilting, with the blanket chest. She'll be there as well, darling. Okay?
Thank you so much.
Merry Christmas in Ontario, Canada. God bless, Madeline. Thank you for listening.
Yes. Thank you guys very much. I've enjoyed listening, and I'll continue to listen now. Thank you.
Thank you, darling. Bye-bye, honey.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Aw.
That was great.
Yeah, John, I like the idea that you said, release any kind of hang-up about it. We choose to come into this world, John, and we choose our timeline to leave.
Yeah.
And people need to understand that. They feel sometimes that they have guilt attached to that person's passing. And they need to release guilt because it's in God's hands.
All right, you ready for another one?
Yes, sir.
All righty, let's see. Let's go to a 603. All right, you're live with Michelle and John. You there, caller?
I'm here.
There you go. All right.
And who is this?
My name is Casey.
Hi, Casey.
Hi.
And where are you calling from, Casey?
I'm calling from New Hampshire.
New Hampshire? All right. Thank you for calling in. Do you have a question for John about anything you're dealing with? A question about loved ones? Now's your chance, honey.
I don't really have a question. I would just like to hear from loved ones, I guess.
All right. Anybody in particular, Casey?
My stepdad's mom.
Stepdad's mother, huh?
Yeah.
She was like a grandmother, a real grandmother to you, though, wasn't she?
Well, I never met her.
Okay, now, so is there a reason you want to hear from her?
He's having a difficult time right now.
Your stepdad
the
is?
holidays.
Okay. I have a cancer symbol coming up, Casey. Do you know your background very well, darling?
Yes.
Somebody had cancer or has it now, Casey. Who is that?
That would be his mom.
Okay. The one that's passed away?
Yes.
All right. But even though you've never met her, she still is around her son, your stepdad. You need to pass that along to him.
Okay.
He's somewhat of a perfectionist, your stepdad. He likes things done in a certain way. Do you understand?
Yes.
So he's detail oriented and things have to be right. I have her through and she's telling me she loves him above and beyond anything on this earth plane and heaven. She loves him. And she wants you to be kind to him, sweetheart, okay? And she didn't mean to linger. She wanted to exit. She didn't like the cancer at all. Didn't like it. The other thing I need to ask you is if you have a dog passed, Casey.
If I have a what?
A dog passed away.
I don't, but he does.
Your stepdad? Would you please tell him his mother has the doggy with him? With her, I mean?
Yes.
Would you tell her that?
Yes.
And I want to tell you, Casey, that sometimes you're hard on yourself. I want you to listen to me.
You don't have anything planned, right? No.
You put a lot of pressure on yourself to do certain things in life, and you need to relax a little more, sweetheart. All right? Do you understand?
Okay. I do.
Okay. So you need to chill. You need to have a happy holiday. Thanks for calling me from New Hampshire. Tell your stepdad his mother's in heaven, no more cancer, and she's with his dog. Okay?
Okay.
Good night, darling.
Good night.
Aw. That's wonderful. All right. Well, we have time for one more. Are you ready to take it, or you need a little break?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Oh, she's like, I'm ready to go.
And John, anytime you wanna come in on it. I know that Tony has to get to his karaoke party. He's chomping at the bit now. Hey, Tony, what's your favorite song? What are you going to sing tonight? Do you have any idea?
You know, there's a song that I really want to learn to sing. It's by Ed Sheeran, called Perfect. But I don't think I'm going to be able to learn it by tonight. Do you know that song?
I've heard about it.
Oh,
yeah.
It's beautiful. It's a beautiful song. I wanted to sing it to Will. But the go-to is I Can't Make You Love Me, and I'm kind of old school. I'm kind of the country or like Frank Sinatra stuff. But yeah.
Oh, I love Frank Sinatra.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
You're singing up my alley, sweetheart.
There we go. So I'll send some your way.
So let's take one more,
All right,
Tony.
let's take one more. Okay, let's see. Let's go with, I think her name is Ann from 610. Ann, you there?
Yes.
Hi, you're on with Michelle and John. You have a question for both of them?
Hey, Michelle. It's Anne from Harrisburg. How are you feeling after your surgery?
I'm doing fine, darling. Thank you for asking. I'm not doing quite fine. I have bones broken in both feet, but, I'm hobbling around.
Sounds like Jen Fade.
Did they ever call you Annie, or are you always Ann? I'm trying to remember who you are, sweetheart.
Usually my family actually calls me Annie, but I go by Ann or whichever.
Okay. So I have a lady here for you, and it's a grandmother figure, and you're little Annie to her, and she wants you to know that somebody's health's going to take a downhill turn, sweetheart. It's not a big deal, but there's somebody in family whose health's going to go down slightly. Do you know about that yet or not, Anne? The health issue.
I have an aunt who recently just had a couple of surgeries, and I know it's kind of like
off cue here with people, but my dog, he's been going through some issues.
Oh, bless him. Well, I want to send some prayers up for your aunt, though, because whatever she has been diagnosed with, there's going to be something else come up. And they're not preparing a pathway for her. But just know that she needs some prayers, Annie, okay? She needs some prayers.
Okay.
And there's a little angel ornament for you, honey. I wish I could just push it right through the screen and give it to you, darling. Do you have angels? Any angels anywhere, Annie?
Yeah, I actually, I inadvertently kind of started collecting them. My first angel came from my grandfather when he passed.
Oh, and that would be, I had the grandmother through, that would probably be her husband that's talking about the angels then. You're a little earth angel, you know that? And there's something to do with the medical profession. So you're a healer, darling. You're more of an emotional healer. Let me put it that way. And have you ever heard of Reiki, Anne?
Yeah, I've heard of it.
There's going to be some type of modality that you're going to be getting into down the line, a couple years from now. It's not next week. It's some form of emotional healing. So angels do abound, and I do have to say you have a female guardian angel. Isn't that wonderful? You didn't ask about her. Her name is Marielle, Marielle, Annie. Her name's Marielle, your guardian angel, darling. Okay?
Oh, wow.
So any name with EL means like unto God or coming from God. And I'm glad you were able to call in. Please share the show. I'm giving away books, you know. I'm going to announce a book winner next week. I just didn't get that far because of surgery. But thank you for your prayers, and thank you for asking about my health. And bless you, and call upon Marielle, and you're going to be receiving another angel, and it's not a whole lot longer, Annie. You wait. And you write to me, would you please, when you get your angel, honey?
I will. It's not. I'm not going to lose somebody else, am I?
No. It's just that the aunt's health is going to go downhill, and it can be a slight downhill turn. It doesn't mean anything serious. Just send some prayers up, darling. All right.
Okay, I will. Thank you so much.
Okay, you take care. Happy holidays, dear.
Thank you. You too.
Good night.
That was a great show, you guys. What a wonderful show.
It certainly was.
And Jon, thank you for being my special guest. I think you shed a lot of insights into not only trauma, but entity removal and hypnotherapy. And so, again, go to my website. Jon's on my website.
That's right.
Michele1Livingston.com.
I think you guys make such a beautiful couple. I mean, just seeing you side by side, I'm like, oh, that is just adorable.
We make a good team.
Yes, you do. That's what I love to hear. An inspiration for us all. So,
thank you, Tony.
Thank you.
All right, well, thank you guys, and make sure next week we got more stuff to come, and I'm so excited to see what's coming up in the next few weeks.
Me too. Hey, have a great karaoke party, darling. Love you.
Love you.
Happy birthday.
Thank you so much. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Attract what you want in life. Learn more about your evolutionary soul journey. Gain in-depth knowledge about metaphysical concepts.
Start with Messages from Beyond. It's a spiritual guidebook that talks about the soul journey. Everything you've ever wanted to know is in this book. It's Spirituality 101.
Messages from Beyond, a spiritual guidebook. Available at michellelivingston.com and wherever books are sold.